All right, everybody, we'll go ahead and get started tonight. I'm Graham, obviously. Thanks for joining us for Coach's Show. And this is Noah Roitman, one of the newest defenders on the Macon Mayhem. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you, everybody. So, as mentioned, Noah, one of the newest members of the team, just give you an opportunity to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and just kind of how you got here to Macon.
Yeah, so my name is Noah. Thank you for having me. I'm from Inver Grove Heights, Minnesota, which is a suburb of St. Paul, Minnesota. It's been great. Journey getting here was it was kind of like all of a sudden rapid. We had our first round of playoffs against St. Norbert, who's now in the national tournament right now. I got a call on Friday before I was hopping on a bus, and they were like, "Hey, Macon wants you to go there and your school year's over. What are your thoughts on that?" And I was like, "Okay." I'm about to hop on a bus, play my first playoff game for my first round, and I was like, "Okay, cool. That'd be something to consider it then." But then our season ended right away on Saturday, unfortunately. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to make the jump, and told my agent or my advisor, I was like, "Hey, I'll be there on Wednesday, whatever it is." And I said, "I'm going to hop my car, drive the 14 hours, one straight shot, and I'll be there." So, yeah.
That's a long trip. Definitely hard to do that in one shot. But, that process you mentioned, you just kind of heard that, Macon was interested. Process of being recruited, we've heard it from a lot of people that are fresh out of school or whatever, but none fresher than you that have been on the Coach's Show over the last 2 seasons. So what was that like? You mentioned that your advisor kind of told you that Macon was interested, but had you heard from any other teams? Kind of what played into that decision-making process when you decided that you were going to make the jump?
Yeah, no, I really didn't hear from anybody. It was kind of just right then and there. It was pretty. It was surreal. It was like a dream come true, because I was always anticipated to want to play pro as a kid, and so trying to convince my family, like, "Hey, I'm leaving here on Tuesday," and I had to fulfill some duties at school, because I was on our student government at school, and I had to tell them, like, "Hey, I got to go," and they were all supportive, and all my family was too, so it was great.
That was going to be one of my next questions was, you're obviously still doing school right now, having left in the middle of the school year. What's that been like, having to, you're adjusting to this new phase of life, and you still got to take care of all the schoolwork duties at the same time?
Yeah, so when I got here 2 weeks ago, we have like 8-week semester blocks, so they're rapid courses. Mm-hmm. So essentially they're 8-week classes that are 16 weeks of content, and my 16 weeks of content ended the first week I got here. So school was good. It was a little bit hectic at first, but kind of just planning out methodically. Professors were pretty understanding, and they were able to give me a little bit of extensions and some leeway, which was great.
That's really good. So you get here, you make the drive, you're handling all the school things, and you get here and your first pro game is at 10:30 in the morning in front of 6,300 screaming kids. What was that environment like for your first taste of professional hockey?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I've never played in that front of that many people, just in general. It was very loud. I remember after the first period, I was very nervous, definitely in the first, and then I kind of settled down in the second and third, which was good. But yeah, it was unbelievable. It was very loud. My head and my ears were hurting post game and into Friday. But that was unbelievable. It was cool, and I'll never forget that.
Yeah, definitely a unique experience. So you're 2 weeks into your professional career. What would you if you had to sum it up, what would you say it's been like so far?
I think it's been great. I think I've just following other guys and seeing what they do at the rink, and it's been cool to see the routines guys have, and see it's been great. I mean, I can't complain anything about it, because it's about being a pro athlete, and you have to take care of your body, nutrition, post practice. You're doing ice baths, you're doing your lifts, stuff like that. So yeah, it's been great.
That's really cool to hear. Is there so you finished through the first 5 games on your PTO going into Sunday. Was there any doubt in your mind that you were going to get the contract to play in that game yesterday?
I was just trying to take it day by day and just try the best I can after every game. And obviously, when we play Pensacola and then we play against Fayetteville, I just wanted to do as best as I could to set myself up for success to do that. So, not saying there wasn't any doubt. There's a lot of nervousness and anxiety around, what if I could be heading home? But I just had to do what I needed to do and perform and be a hockey player.
Yeah, and the numbers are there too. assists showing up on the score sheet so far. We've heard all season long players that have been, on this team for a little bit longer, whether it be multiple seasons from the start of the year, whatever it is, talking about what has made this group different from Mayhem teams that have been here in the past. From your limited experience with the team, what is unique about this group of guys?
I could say this is probably one of the top 3 teams I've had that's the most closest. You can tell how much guys care for each other, joking around, they're having fun. There's a joy to come to the rink, and there's not a lot of negativity in the locker room, and that's something that's a joy to come to, and especially coming into this locker room is with all open arms as well, which is great.
Yeah, that's definitely huge. I can imagine for you as a newcomer as well. What have been some of the, most unexpected parts of the last 2 weeks for you? Whether it be, something that you didn't expect to have to do. I imagine you probably weren't too, ready for the jersey auction, for whether it's that or something like that. In first 2 weeks in the
first
pros.
2 weeks, I wasn't ready for my car battery to die last week. I was trying to start my car at the apartments and it would just not go, and I was like, oh no. But I don't think there was really anything, because in juniors we had a lot of jersey auctions to give the fans, so that's great to get a little outreach to the fans as well, because at the same time those kids look up to us, and we were all in their shoes at one point.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. Being from Minnesota, living most of your life in the North Midwest, you played in Wisconsin, you played all in that area in juniors. This is your first time, I can imagine, playing in this part of the South, right? So how has it been a little different?
I've played in the South. I played in Oklahoma City for a year. That was great. I love the warm weather. But I think living in Macon's been fun. It's nice, 80-something degrees here. And I think tomorrow back in Minnesota it's like 40. So it's been great. I mean, you're able to do stuff all the time. You're able to go out. You're able to hang out with the guys, sit outside, or I even do homework outside, which is great. So I've enjoyed it a lot.
That's really cool. Last thing for you before we open the floor to questions here in-house. What do you think are the keys for this team to 10 games left to start getting some wins in the column and get ready for a playoff push?
I would think just capitalizing on our chances that we have, and that's a big thing. I think we're doing what we need to do. I think it's just capitalizing on goals. That's the big thing right now. It's just scoring goals. But I think we're doing a lot of good things right, and I have faith in this group because we all don't want to leave here after these 10 games are over. We want to stay around. We want to go into playoffs on a good note, and I think definitely just scoring a lot of goals. So.
Go ahead and open it up to anybody here. We've also got one from Facebook Live. It says, "What is your favorite memory on the team so far?"
Favorite memory on the team. I think it was, I don't know. The kids' game was definitely a lot of fun. I would say. Obviously, we didn't win as well, but I think winning one of my first pro games that was against Fayetteville, that was pretty cool. And see the group of guys, and they were all happy, and it was good.
Yeah.
So, another thing with the team, our bus ride to Evansville was fun, because we played on Saturday this weekend, and then we were all hopping on a sleeper bus and just hanging out. And then there was TV.
After a win too.
Yeah, so they hopped on the TV. There was a TV in the back, and we were all on the sleepers, and it was kind of cool. And then obviously we didn't get the result that we wanted to, but it was just spending time with the guys and just just getting to meet them more and get to know them.
Yeah. For sure. And that was your first road trip, too.
It was, yeah.
Anybody in here have anything for Noah before we move on and bring Bailey up to the front? No? All right, thank you, Noah, for joining us tonight. Definitely appreciate your time, and we'll have Bailey up here in a second. Let's hear it one more time for Noah. All right, everybody. Bailey Brkin, welcome to the front. Let's hear it for Bales real quick. So, Bailey, you're making your way back into the lineup over the last couple of weeks. It feels like this season, last season, some interesting parallels with both you and Josh missing extended periods of time on injured reserve. This year, it's the other way around. What have been the most important ways that you stayed involved with the team over the last 2 months or so?
Just probably being at the rink every day, being present, trying to help in any way I can. If the coaches want to talk to me about something they see on the ice, or guys want to ask me questions on goal scoring or what I've been thinking about the games, I've just been trying to stay involved, stay active with the team.
Yeah, that's definitely huge. When did you know that you were ready to get back in, into the fray?
It's kind of a tough one. I mean, I felt confident. I was working with our AT Klinger a lot, and just moving through the processes and the steps and everything. Like originally we thought it would only be a 2-week type of thing. Now we're getting to, it was about 2.5 months. So just working through the steps and everything like that. I had a couple good practices, and I was told, it's like, okay, you ready to go? Like, yeah. I mean, I was wanting to get back in sooner, but it's just a worry thing about me getting hurt again. So, I mean, if they ask me the question, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah, 100%. And you've definitely not looked out of place in the games that you've played since you've been back. How did you feel being back in the crease? Like, do you feel at ease, like you're where you're supposed to be?
It definitely felt a little bit weird, again, skating on the ice with actual fans in the crowd, because I've just been only doing practices. I was definitely very nervous, I would say, especially coming in for that Fayetteville game. But I don't know, just once I faced my first few couple of shots, after that I just kind of got back in the groove of things and just went on from there.
Well, I was going to ask, your first start was yesterday, but you did get back into that Fayetteville game. That was your first action back. What did that do for you, even though you didn't get to start that weekend, just getting back into the swing of things?
It definitely allowed me to get a taste of what playing hockey was like again. It was just, honestly, a little bit of a refresher, kind of gave me a little bit more confidence. Like, yeah, the one really nice goal against me in Fayetteville, and the other one was just kind of a pinball off of a bunch of bodies, but I felt good besides that. So it was just kind of a little bit of a confidence builder.
Yeah, made a couple great saves in there as well. First game back for you in terms of start was yesterday. What were your kind of overall thoughts on that game for the team and from your perspective as well?
From my perspective, I was really happy with the decor. I'm sure people that have come to our games here Boyks and I yell a lot on the ice, just communicating with our teammates. But I was very happy with our decor. Just the older guys showing the newer guys, like, hey, like, I'm going to talk a lot, I'm going to move the puck a lot, and just like listen to me, and we're going to have success that way. So I was very happy with that. Just started off slow the game, which was completely fine with me, coming off of not playing hockey for a while, but I'm kind of trailing on here, and I forgot what the question was.
I was just asking about the game yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty big game for us. We've been speaking in the room about games in hand and such, and that was a game in hand on the teams that we're chasing. So not sure really what happened up front. We knew it was a big game, just maybe lacked preparation, or maybe guys are gripping their sticks a little bit too tight. But, I mean, we got that first game in hand out of the way, so hopefully we're a little bit more prepared next time.
Yeah, well, in the next 2 weeks, just 2 games each, so you still have those games in hand down the stretch. But moving on, a couple tough losses this past weekend. What's kind of the general sense? You're right in the thick of the playoff race, just on the outside looking in by 1 point. Nothing that can't be undone at this point in time, but kind of take us inside the locker room, what everybody's feeling right now.
I mean, definitely a little bit disappointed with ourselves only taking 1 win this weekend. We definitely knew that we could have probably, even in a perfect world, gotten 5 points out of the 6. Yeah, it's not going to be the happiest when you don't win hockey. So, I mean, we just got to put our nose to the grindstone, really, and just get back to it and hopefully come back and have a happy road trip on the way back.
Yeah, from Pensacola. Had that a couple of times this year. Big 2 games, that was going to be my next thing, Pensacola. Seen a lot of them so far this season. What does the team need to do to get 2 wins out of it?
We just need to play our game. When we play our game, we can beat the best teams in the league, I think. Are we winning the season series against Huntsville?
Yes.
Yeah, so like we can play against the best. We just need to be able to do that against every team all the time whenever we want to. I mean, from what I've seen from us playing Pensacola, it seems like there's a lot of like those weird like loose pucks in the crease and stuff like that. We just can't get those bounces our way. So hopefully this weekend would be the weekend that we can try to find those loose pucks in the crease and get over that hump and actually score.
Get into the dirty areas. A little farther down the road, past this weekend in Pensacola, 5 of the final 8 games of the season are going to be against Fayetteville. That's a team that obviously the 2 teams have played each other a lot. There's a lot made about the connection between the teams. Do you think it's fair to say that that's officially a rivalry, or do you guys see it that way on the ice?
I definitely think it's a rivalry. I mean, everybody knows we're owned by the same ownership group, so everybody wants to be, or our team wants to be the top team under the ownership group. They want to be the top team under the ownership group, and it's just we play, I would say, kind of similar styles of hockey where it gets very chippy. Like especially last year, the games were crazy last year. So there's definitely that rivalry going back. I guess
the start of last year,
yeah, start of last year, yeah.
But then you also have the added weight of the fact that these games against Fayetteville are going to be the most important of the season for both teams. What are you kind of expecting out of those 5 games down the stretch?
I mean, I'm expecting every single one of them to be a playoff game, to be honest with you. It's going to be hard. We're both going to be fighting for our playoff lives with how close the standings are, too. Like, anything could happen. Like, teams could start to lose everything for the rest of the year, and then other teams could start winning everything. And it's gap so close, 1 weekend could change 2-3 positions on the scoreboard. So every game is going to be pretty much a slugfest, and it's just about, specifically for us, that consistency of us showing up and being that team that we know we can be every game.
You mentioned the consistency. Last question from me. How confident are you that this team can get it done?
I'm pretty confident, in all honesty. Like, watching us play from me in the net to me on the bench or me in the stands, like, I can see us, like, how good we are when we play the right way, when we do things consistently the right way. So I'm hoping that we see how big these games are leading up for the rest of the year, and we can just stick to the game plan and then be that consistent good hockey team that I know we can be.
100%. Anybody have anything here for Bailey? We've got a couple online. One says, what's your favorite away rink to play in?
Peoria.
Yeah, why?
Yeah. I don't know, the fans kind of give me a lot of crap there. It's just funny.
Let's see. We've got another one that says, what was your favorite part of your juniors career?
Definitely that playoff run my 19-year-old year. We were an underdog against Portland in the first round. We won in 5 games. We were an underdog against Everett in the second round. We won in 5 games. And then we ended up losing in the conference finals to Vancouver, where we had leads in 3 of the games, but we were just so banged up from, like, not supposed to be there. So, I mean, that was probably the most fun time of my life playing hockey, in all honesty, that 19-year-old year in juniors.
Got one more question online. It says, when you're on the road and the fans are trying to chat you up between whistles, do you hear that? Do you internalize it, or do you just tune it out? Does it give you a little fuel?
I think I turn it out, really. I've gotten pretty good at ignoring people. So, I mean, even ask my girlfriend. I've gotten pretty good at ignoring people when I want to.
Anybody else have anything for Bailey before Coach gets up here to the front? Nope. All right. Thank you for being here, Bailey. Definitely appreciate you. We will have Coach up here next. Let's hear it one more time for Bailey. All right, everybody. We've got Coach Pszenyczny up at the front. We're going to go ahead and dive right into it, and we're going to start with some of the personnel changes that we've had since the last coach's show. So we'll go in chronological order. Obviously, Noah is here. Noah's here. So we talked to him about his experience. When you were looking into the college ranks, what was it that you saw on tape about Noah that stood out and it made you want to bring him here?
I think it was the confidence, and that's I don't want to say easy thing, but when you have good skating, play with your head up, snap the puck, especially as a defenseman, and shutting down, it kind of fits into our system here. So it's kind of a no-brainer, and obviously I have a mutual connection that kind of got the lead on him. So, he's doing well in the point department, and contributing when he can. 100%.
Keeping it going to the trade deadline, which was last week, bringing one guy in, Cooper Fensterstock, and the weekend before the deadline, you saw him with Fayetteville here in Macon, and he's got a point or two since he's come here. What have you liked about him, and what made what about him made you want to bring him in?
I think with Coop, he was, right out of school last season, had a really good honeymoon there, and then it kind of went the other way as far as, not playing very limited minutes, underutilized in certain situations, and felt that that could contribute in what we were kind of lacking up front. And, it's at the end of the day, sounds like a broken record with the goals not going in, right? So those are still things we're trying to address here down the stretch. If we can find the diamond in the rough coming out of school.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you about that as well. In terms of coming out of school, obviously Noah's the one college signing so far. Is that something that you're still looking at, actively monitoring? Only 10 games left, so you got to play 5 to be playoff eligible. So what's that? Kind of walk us through what your thought process is at this point.
Yeah, I think with you talk to so many players throughout the course of the season, or coaches, and oh, this guy's ready, like he's going to come once our season's over, and then that day comes and they just don't want to play. They want to finish out, graduate, which is totally respectable. But it's I was chatting with another coach, and he's just like, man, it just seems like everybody I've been talking to, same situation. They're just going to shut her down and pick up the golf sticks. So at the end of the day, it is what it is, and I think what we have coming up here soon is going to be really beneficial for what we've been lacking pretty much most of the season.
Well, there was 2 more that I was going to talk about. One is the waiver claim that the team put in last week on Caden Henry. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, he's going to report. He'll be here tomorrow night. We're going to inject him into the lineup and put him on the power play. And 17 goals in 25 games, not bad. And quite frankly, I think he's hit like a little spell there. Wasn't playing much either. So, I mean, that 17 goals was actually probably 17 games. So when you get an opportunity to grab a guy like that, you kind of have to. And shocked where we were in the waiver wire that we were able to get him. But, yeah, no, he's going to make the trek down. And, we're just going to see what he can do and provide for us. I know he's excited, and he was telling me about a dream he had about making playoffs and kind of ruined some other plans for other teams. So I like the enthusiasm. So now we just got to stop talking and just do it.
Last one in terms of new additions, Eric Neely, bringing him in before the weekend. That's one of the biggest signings that the team's had in a long time, a number of years probably. Kind of talk to us about how that transpired and what you've seen from him through the first 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think that, maybe prayers are being answered here and there, but, on the flip side of that, he's just a true professional. He brings it every day. You see it in his speed, the way he handles himself, takes care of his body, and, kind of shocked when he reached out and was looking for an opportunity to play and help us out. And, how far that goes, we don't know yet. He'll be back in the lineup for this weekend. He's got some, I don't want to say family issues, but, just family in general. I know it when I was playing, when I was starting a family. So, I wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to lose time with that. So that was pre-talked about, so there was no shock for us that he wasn't going to be on the trip yesterday going to Evansville. But yeah, he kind of came into the office on Saturday and he's like, I really think this building's cursed. And I'm like, yeah, you probably could have had 4 goals both games that you played. And but at the end of the day, he's producing and we're right there with him too. So it's going to take some time to get acclimated to what we have here, right, and the system. But for him, he's just kind of a game breaker.
Yeah, 100%, and you can see it too. You talked about the game on Saturday with Eric. We'll talk about the start of that game, the fight 4 seconds in. What is it like to see players take kind of, injecting some energy into the team, into their own hands in that way?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was like they're almost told to do that, but, Mess goes out and does what he does best to get us some energy. And, I think sometimes people forget that it's part of the rules. Some teams are built that way, and Mess provides us a very selfless act by doing what he did, and it got us engaged, it got them on their heels, and I felt like we took that momentum, and we've talked about that numerous times in the podcast, and what we talk about in the room is generating momentum, keeping momentum. When you lose it, getting it back quick, and I thought that was definitely needed for that scenario, and it gets the crowd into it, and the boys were really fired up and juiced after that. So.
100% they were, and you saw the goal just a couple minutes later, so it definitely played a part. On that note, with the games this past weekend, the team, we've talked about it over the last 2 years, the team's identity is built from the goaltending position out. The defense is very strong, never going to have a problem with the goaltender on any given night. But the team's allowed 5 goals over the last 3 games and went 1-2 over that stretch. So does that desperation factor kick in a little bit more when we're getting to this time of the year? Does it drive you to change your game plan a little bit, or kind of talk us through what's going through your head when the teams are getting the results that they are lately?
I mean, as much as we had possession this past weekend and we had some really good grade A scoring chances in all 3 games, I thought our best game was Saturday, and not because we won. I thought we played the way we're supposed to, using the back wall, changing the point of attack, getting everybody involved. Very good with our puck management. I don't even remember what the shots were, but it felt like very similar to the weekend before the Saturday game against Fayetteville, where we're looking up, coming off the ice, and the shots are 28-8, right? And, we know how third periods go sometimes, where you already got it kind of in the bag a little bit, but you can't take a period off, though. We almost saw that on Saturday night too, where they got some really high-end, high-skill players that could just turn it on. So, and then we kind of put them in a pretty good scenario to kind of make a game out of it towards the end. And that's hockey, right? You got to play 60 minutes the whole time, and it's no shifts off. I know it's so cliche, but a penalty there and a call here can really change the course of a game in an instant. So. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see us play a little bit different, not differently, sorry, but get back to our bread and butter, and I think we've been kind of getting away from that in consistent games.
My next question is going to be, what are your general thoughts on the compete level from the team over the last little bit? Do you think that they're sticking to the game plan the way that you would like for them to, or just kind of what your thoughts are on the team? Like I said, 10 games left. Where do you think the team is at compared to where they need to be?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is we know what we can do, and we just need to apply it every night. And I ended up catching an interview, an article about a guy who played length, years in the NHL, and it's not always about your A game, because everybody in the NHL can bring their A game, right? That's why they're there. Somebody's watched their A game. It's about bringing like your C and the consistency every night, right? So it's just finding our game and picking up the next guy if he's not having the best game, right? And there's ways of doing that on the bench where, I would love to roll everybody, but unfortunately most of the time it's 10, 11 forwards and 7D. So I try to stress like body language, being a big cheerleader, because you could still contribute to the team from the bench. And for the most part, like, we have really good guys when it comes to that. They kind of put their ego aside and understand that. I had to park a guy last weekend in the third period, and he understood why. I didn't have to say anything, but he was telling the players out there when the puck was coming close, like heads up, far side, giving him some details. And that's what we're all about, right? It's a team sport, and we just want to make sure everybody's integrated. And even the goalie that's not playing is always chiming in, telling the players, hey, shoot here. So all that goes a long way. And we got some really good humans here and some good athletes. So I think going down the stretch here, something's gonna go our way finally. I think right now we're not getting the puck luck. I think a Saturday's goal off Parker Allison in the back of the net, and it's just like, we're right there. Why don't we get some of those the other way? Mm-hmm. But you know what? Maybe the the big question is when will we get them, right? So.
You just got to keep putting yourself in those positions. General thoughts on the team, obviously just had those, but the scheduling as well the rest of the way. So 10 games, it's split up where the first two weekends are just 2 games, and then back-to-back 3-3s to close it out. One Friday, Saturday, Sunday into a Thursday, Friday, Saturday on the road. How important is the Monday through Thursday or the Sunday through Thursday leading into these weeks to make sure that you're ready to go for that weekend?
Yeah, I mean, we put a lot of emphasis on watching video, preparing the players on where we want to attack, where they're going to look to attack, and it's about execution at the end of the day. And sometimes it changes within the first 5-10 minutes that now the team that we prepped for has changed up their style. So you got to adapt quick with your intermissions or your little media breaks here and there, because you don't want to wait till the period ends and then all of a sudden they're changing it again. So, we provide what we can for them, and it's just about them going out there and doing it and playing with the consistency that we know we can play with throughout the course of a game.
Yeah, and last one that I've got for you before we open it up to questions from online and here in-house is, with 4 home games left, this is the last coaches show before the home portion of the season schedule is over. What would you say to the fans in preparation for this home push? Like, what's your kind of State of the Union address here?
I mean, gear up. I think the boys are going to put on a fantastic show here down the stretch because, we talked about it after the game yesterday. We let one slip yesterday with a game in hand, and, we still got 2 more. But at the end of the day, we get to make our own destiny. We don't have to wait for scenarios to play out with other teams. It's typically on us at the end of the day.
100%. Anybody here have anything for Coach? We've got a couple online. One says, who's the player that you hate playing against the most? Like, if you had to pick one player in this league that you hate having to game plan for or playing against.
I don't know. Taylor and I talk about certain players on other teams, but sometimes it's not very consistent because you kind of prep for that player and nothing really comes of it. And then, they might turn it on in another game and then they kind of go away. So, I mean, there's some pests out there for sure that we address to make sure, hey, like, let's not, go tit for tat for them and end up in the penalty box. There's really bad trade-offs when it comes to pests in the league, but, we just want to play our game and play a physical game at that.
Got one that says, what process do you guys take to look at an opposing team before game day? Obviously the film during the week, but what are things that you're looking at in that regard?
We're trying to find consistency in their game plan, right? How are their breakouts? How are they entering the zone? Are they a rush team? Are they a forecheck team? Are they a special teams team, right? There's all these different scenarios. Like, for instance, like Birmingham's a very good special teams team on the offensive side, right? Mm-hmm. So we got to make sure that we're not giving any freebies, right? Too many men, bench minors, slashing behind the play, 200 foot away from the net penalties, right? So, those end up biting you, and the hockey gods will reward the other team. So, there's other teams that, Evansville, they're a very grind team. They're a long, lanky team, so we don't want to challenge sticks. We want to make small, 5-foot area passes and work our way out. And it took us a minute yesterday to kind of understand that, because I think with both teams playing a sluggish style game, I mean, the period ends 4-2 in shots. It kind of tells a story, right? So, but yeah, there's definitely some teams that play to their home ice advantage, right? Like the Knoxvilles, the Roanoke's with the smaller neutral zone, Fayetteville with the bigger offense and defensive zones, and not many people understand that part of it, right? Because there's games where the other team truly doesn't have a system; they just kind of go and wing it, right? So, and there might be some concepts in there, but yeah, sometimes it's frustrating watching video because you'll watch 3 games on a team, and I'll tell Taylor to watch the same games, and we'll come back and compare notes, and there's sometimes where we don't have much, So, but at the end of the day, we play a system game here and organized, and because those are the ones that are going to win championships at the end of the day.
Anybody here got anything for Coach before we get out of here? Last call? No? All right, everybody, thank you for being here tonight. This was our second to last Coaches Show of the season. Final one will be on Tuesday, March 31st. So that is the last Coaches Show of the year. Appreciate having you guys tonight, and we will see you next weekend.